Hello, everyone. I'm Sam,
I'm Kaitlyn.
And I'm Mo.
and this is Team Get Ovary It.
We're an all-female team participating in the greatest motoring adventure on the planet, the Mongol Rally.
We'll be driving 10,000 miles across mountains, deserts, and unknown terrain.
And along the way, we hope to spread our feminist and environmental ideals.
Join us here as we share our stories, thoughts, and interviews as we get ready for the Mongol Rally 2021.
Don't you mean 2022?
Shit!
Hello!
Thanks for tuning in.
Today we have an important announcement regarding our team and the Mongol Rally, and we want to give you guys some updates about where we are and what we're doing in general. But it's not enough content for a full episode.
To that end, we're going to do a kind of bonus Women Who Walk Their World episode. So Kaitlyn did research on this one, so I have no idea who or what it's about. But Kaitlyn sure seems awfully excited about it, so it should be a doozy.
It is. I found out about this person through another podcast and then did my own research. If you
Awesome.
want to read the full post, check out the blog section of our website at your leisure. It's going to be published after this episode is published, so you can check that out whenever you want. Let's just jump into the story, and then after that, we'll move on to the update. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this story is about Ada Blackjack. So she was born in Alaska in 1898.
Ooh,
Uh, al-
Alaska.
yeah, right, because you lived on Kodiak Island for a long time.
Yep, 9 years. Good times.
Good times. So although she was a Inupiat, she did not learn how to hunt or survive in the Norse harsh environment. Instead, she was brought up largely by Methodist missionaries who taught her English, mainly to read the Bible, how to read and write, clean, sew, and prepare European style cuisine. You know, everything a girl living in one of the harshest environments on earth needs to know to live life to its fullest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Especially not back in those days. No.
yeah, right. Yeah, they didn't have electricity back then. Wasn't a good time. So when Ada was 16, she met Jack Blackjack. Yes, that's his name, Jack Blackjack.
That's awesome.
That's it. He was a famed dog musher and a popular bachelor. They soon got married, but theirs was not a happy marriage as Jack began to beat her and deny her food. They had 3 children together, 2 of which died, kind of unsurprisingly, and their surviving son, Bennett, unfortunately suffered from chronic tuberculosis. Jack abandoned his small family, and without his support, Ada could not afford to care for her ailing son. She left him in an orphanage and prayed that she would someday be able to afford to get him out and take him to a doctor for proper treatment. That's a really it's a big problem, tuberculosis. I mean, they did have treatments, but like nothing. Like tuberculosis, once it's in your body, it's like always in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a big.
not only that, but that's a tough place to live,
Mm,
and to not have support makes it even worse, especially if you
mm.
don't have the survival skills to survive on your own.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I think she would be like really dependent on other people, and then she doesn't really have the means to make much of a living either. So that's kind of a big problem. Like money's always tight for Ada. It's pretty unfortunate. Um, so it seemed that her prayers were answered in 1921 when she heard that a group of young explorers were hiring hands to accompany them on an expedition to Wrangel Island. They promised to pay her $50 per month, which would be about $800 in today's money, to do some cooking and sewing, which she was eager to accept because of the aforementioned issue with her son.
Mm-hmm.
However, Ada was unaware of the true nature of the expedition or its dangers. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, I mean, like, it's, this is.
I'm sitting here going, Wrangel Island. Where the hell is that?
Yeah,
It's
no,
gotta
it's.
be one of the Aleutian Islands, but
It's not a place that any human should really ever go. That's kind of the problem. So,
okay.
yeah, the idea for this trip was hatched by Vilhjalmur Stefansson. a Canadian American explorer who was convinced that people could easily live in the extreme north. He had lived among the Inuit for a year between 1906 and 1907 and went on various journeys into the Arctic and no doubt fancied himself a bona fide Arctic survivalist expert.
Mm-hmm.
The
After
thing
a year.
Yeah, for like a year. Yeah. And then there's this whole backstory with him from
Mm-hmm.
what I've heard before, like on that previous podcast that I mentioned. Uh, Apparently, like he had gone to the area that Wrangel Island was in. He was kind of looking for a legendary sort of Nordic continent. He thought there was like actually a continent up there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, but his whole crew, like the boat ended up getting stuck in ice or something, and like a lot of people ended up dying. One guy did manage to survive on like one island. He basically just ate moss the whole time.
I mean, that's literally all that grows that far north.
Yeah, right.
Is
And like
basically
it's
just moss and
and the
algae.
whole thing was a disaster. He should have known better. He should have known that he shouldn't go back there, but anyway, but he wanted to because he's a weirdo. So so yeah, the thing is too is Stephenson did not originally join the expedition in 1921. It was his idea, but he didn't go on it at first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there were some issues with funding. And at the beginning, he could only get enough money to fund about half the trip.
Oh, okay.
So he stayed behind in America to try to get more money, and he planned to join the expedition at a later date.
Okay. Back to our girl Ada.
Yeah. But I just want to like set the scene here. So there's like,
Yeah, yeah.
this crazy dude who I guess has
It's
like a little bit of
incompetent.
experience, but it's like it's not real experience, and
No.
and he's not even going on the trip. So
All,
ah,
all all good signs for a great trip.
yeah. So anyway, Wrangel Island, which was the target of the scheme, is located at the 180th meridian and was one of the last places where woolly mammoths roamed.
Mm.
Hmm. It belonged to, at the time, and still belongs to Russia. But since it was uninhabited, Stephenson aimed to create a kind of settlement there to claim it for, well, Britain. Actually, he was trying to claim it for the British Isles, thinking anyway that it would have become an important territory in the future. The reason why
Uh,
the Russians left it uninhabited was probably because it's practically uninhabitable.
yeah, yeah. Also, at that point in time, there was so much ice up there that you honestly couldn't get to it unless you traveled over ice.
Mhm.
And it's only now that it would have been like a feasible thing to consider doing because of all the melting snow caps and all the oil that
Yeah.
is up there that they're like, it's mine, it's mine. I
I
have
mean,
claim
yeah,
to it.
you might be able to
Anyways,
make a go of it now, but like 100 years ago, nah.
hell no. Uh-uh.
Mm-mm. So it's pretty bad. So oh yeah, there it is. So when the expedition team arrived in Alaska, the only person who was willing to work for them was Ada. Most of
Oh,
the Yeah, most of the other Inupiat women, or sorry, most of the other Inupiat men and women refused to go, no matter how good the money was, because the crew were leaving too late in the summer and the whole idea was crazy.
mm-hmm.
So on September 9th, 1921, Ada boarded the Silver Wave with Alan Crawford, 20, so 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
Lorne Knight, 28, Fred Maurer, 28, and or sorry, Milton Gale, 19, and a cat named Vic.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Destination Wrangel Island.
Destination ice flow.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of these guys had like some exploring stuff. Alan Crawford had zero exploring uh what can I
That's
say?
the 19 year
Experience.
old, right?
He's 20.
Oh, he's the 20-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, he's just some university student. They needed a Canadian guy there
Mm,
because the rest of them are American, so they needed a Canadian guy there to claim the island for Britain.
got it.
Yeah. So and Fred, he had actually been on one of Stephenson's previous expeditions, the one where all the people died, he's the one who was eating moss and survived.
Oh,
And
and he went for his second round with the
he went
same
for a
dude?
second round, yeah.
Oh, bro, you're just hurting. You're cruising for a bruising at that point.
Right.
Like, you have nobody to blame for your nonsense but yourself at this point.
Like, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice. Shame on me. Shame on Fred.
Shame on Fred. Yes, we were pointing at ourselves, by the way, for
Yeah.
podcast listeners.
But not
Right.
us. I think I'd be smarter than to like, do that, but who knows?
Ugh.
So who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm kind of weird too. But anyway. So the expedition quickly turned from bad to worse. Winter came upon the group and game grew scarce. The boat that was supposed to come to bring relief and additional supplies to the group couldn't reach them on account of the ice.
Mhm.
None of the men had any real hunting experience, so they quickly began to starve. Ada, understandably, began to feel homesick and she began to abandon her work. She was also the only woman in a group of young men. By all accounts, nothing untoward had happened to her, but it nonetheless affected her mood and she became distrustful of the men. She thought that Knight, in particular, wanted to harm her after she had seen him with a large knife. In fact, all knives terrified her. Before leaving Alaska, Ada had sought the advice of a shaman who told her to be wary of knives and that the expedition was going to end in disaster. Too bad she hadn't listened to him, eh?
Hey, yep.
Should have
Uh,
listened.
She should have listened, and she also should have taken note of the fact that everybody else is being like, "Nah, bad idea, bro. Just no, just no."
But I mean, that's like the desperation of a mother with a sick child, right?
True.
Whatever the risks, you got to do what you got to do.
That's yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, but I'm also just from experience of having lived in Alaska, like if everybody else, like if the native people around you are being like, that's really really dumb, you really shouldn't do that, you probably shouldn't do that,
Oh,
because
for
guess who
sure.
has hundreds of thousands of years of ancestral history that they've passed down
Mm-hmm.
in their culture?
Mm,
The native Alaskans who live in that area.
yep.
Come on.
Right, they would know. But after after many weeks and possibly months, Ada's mood changed. It was like someone had flipped a switch. Ada began to work diligently to improve her life and the lives of the men. But they, the men, on the other hand, became melancholy. For some reason or other, no relief could reach them, even during the summer months. The group grew even more desperate during their second winter on the island, and on a blistery day when temperatures were hovering around a balmy minus 50 degrees, Crawford, Maurer, and Gale set out for Serbia to get help, leaving Ada and Knight alone.
What?
Mm.
Why did they not just turn back? Like everybody on the boat, just the whole thing, just turn around, go back to
Well, they
wherever
don't
they
have
set
the
off
big
from.
so basically the big boat came and then just dropped them off with a bunch of supplies and then it like left. So
Never
they
came
don't have a
back.
big boat anymore.
Got it.
They got like little boats, like lifeboats kind of things. So that's like yeah. So the three dudes took off to
And
go
left
get some
her
help.
with the one dude who she was more afraid of than any of the other dudes.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, there's like a circumstance. So Knight, the guy that she was left with, had been suffering from scurvy for a long time by that point.
Mm-hmm.
So he was sick, so that's why he didn't go. He was so ill that he became bedridden, or I guess sleeping bag ridden, and Ada was his sole caretaker. She recognized that she needed to feed him fresh food if she ever hoped to save him, but as was previously mentioned, she did not know how to hunt. Driven by her extreme need and incredibly large ladyballs, she taught herself to shoot, invented an unusual yet effective way to kill foxes, and kept herself, the cat, and Knight alive.
Nice.
Yeah, man, she was killing it. The fox thing, so apparently, what I heard is that she made traps, like she had made these traps for the foxes, but the foxes, like, because foxes are foxy.
They're pretty clever and smart, yeah.
Right, so they kind of, like, would sniff around the traps, but they wouldn't actually spring them, they wouldn't get, like, stuck in them.
Mm-hmm.
So, she had observed this, and then what she did is she, like, got, like, a really big stick, and she would like wait until the foxes were preoccupied with like sniffing around the traps, and then she would sneak up on them and bash them over the head with the stick, killing them. And then
Yeah,
they
I
had
mean,
dinner.
hey, it works.
It
If
works.
you know that they're gonna be busy smelling around the trap because they can smell the human on it,
Yeah,
which is why they smell around the traps rather than getting stuck in the traps like a rabbit would.
sure.
Then yeah, I mean, I would use that preoccupation to bash them over the head.
Yeah, word. I mean, dude, you're hungry.
Hell yeah.
Bash some foxes.
Hey, survival situations. There are no wrongs in a survival situation.
Those are true. That's true facts. So she was keeping herself and everybody else alive. Anyway, that is until June 23rd, 1923, when Knight finally died.
Mm,
So the dude is dead.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she's been abandoned on a tiny little island in the middle of nowhere
Mhm.
by herself with a cat and now a dead guy.
But I mean, at least she's got the cat though.
The question is, does she have a way off the island? Did they leave her an extra boat?
We'll see. We'll see. So anyway,
I'm
Ada
on the edge of my seat.
yeah. I know it's an interesting story, huh? So Ada couldn't bear to be completely alone, except for the cat. So she kept Knight's body close. Isolation does strange things to the mind. So she only moved him to their storage shed once he started to stink.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but she threw herself into surviving and made herself a set of skins to wear. She killed her first seal all by herself, and she even made herself a boat for hunting to escape. Now, uh like keep in mind, like she didn't know how to do any of these things. She was never taught how to do any of these things. She grew up with Methodists and stuff. She only knows the Bible, useless as it is. And then in this situation, she's teaching herself how to shoot, she's hunting seals, she's making furs,
Yep.
she's making a boat,
Yep.
killing it.
Probably from the seal skins and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I mean, so she's Inuit, you said?
Inupiat.
Inupiat. Sorry.
Mm.
She okay. So even if she grew up with the Methodists and like grew up in like their orphanage and their church kind of surrounding,
Mm.
I'm guessing that they were still in a. I know you just said the name of the tribe, but
Inupiat.
Inupiat. She still was probably in that community, and so she may have seen those things, but
Probably, you're right.
she probably didn't directly learn them, but indirectly having seen them, she could probably pull from that memory to help her do the things that she needs to do in desperation.
Yeah, true. And then like do some like trial and error and then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. Yeah. But just like the chutzpah that this lady
Yeah.
has,
Hell yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
Hey man, survival all comes down to how badly do you want to live? What are you willing to do
mm,
to make it? How
yeah.
badly do you want to just suck it up and just do whatever it is you got to do?
Yeah, and I think we saw like throughout this sort of series of ours, I think we've seen like time and time again that these women who are in these kinds of desperate situations do pull through, and kind of surprisingly like they're able to accomplish quite a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's very, how can I say, inspiring.
Yeah, the drive to survive
Mm.
is very inspiring, and just the sheer, as you said, chutzpah to just like
Yeah.
not lay down and die, basically giving up, like to just not give up and be like, okay, this situation sucks. I'm in a bad place, but you know what? I'm still gonna fucking do a thing, and I'm gonna get out of here. Just watch me.
Yep.
Like I love that.
Yeah, me too. It's really good. So, but luckily, she never needed to make her great escape, because on the morning of August 20th, she awoke to a strange noise. Oh, what is that?
A boat.
Upon yeah. Yeah, upon getting up and rushing to the shore, she spied a ship and jumped into the water to signal it to come in. The man who stepped down from the boat was Stephenson's benefactor and rival, Harold Noyce. His name Noyce. Anyway.
Noise.
Noyce, yeah. But yeah. Practically at the same moment, both Ada and Harold asked after the missing men. Oh, how is everyone? Right? Ada
Oh boy.
expected, because they had left, so she
Right. Yeah.
expected them to have
Come
made it
back
back to
with
America
something.
and come back on the boat. Yeah, and then but Harold, hadn't seen them, so he expected them to still be in the camp. Uh, it dawned on them that they
Awkward.
must have been lost at sea, leaving Ada and the cat, but mostly Ada, the sole human survivor of the expedition.
Wow.
Mm,
Props.
props.
I just just the sheer stupidity of the whole situation is what's killing me and why I'm laughing and chuckling because I know how bad it can be up there having lived in Alaska for
Mm,
9 years. Like granted I lived on an island that was had good what's the word I'm fucking looking for? Civilization.
infrastructure.
Yeah, it had
Oh,
a good infrastructure. There was civilization. Like I didn't live out in the middle of nowhere off the grid or anything like that. Like I
mm,
lived in town. But when you're growing up in in that kind of area in Alaska, even if you are a townie and you grow up there, like you're still learning survival skills. Like I know how to put on a survival suit, like the wetsuits that they give people in Alaska that you're supposed to have on all boats for all the people who are on the
mm.
boats. Because if you go into the Bering Sea without a survival suit on, you will die in 3 minutes because it is so
Oh,
hot ass cold. You will freeze and you will die.
3 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's like
But anyways,
space.
I know how to put on the survival suit on land, on
Mhm.
a boat, and in the water. Like if I was in the
Nice.
water with the suit, I could put it on. Like useful skill if I was still in Alaska.
Very useful.
So like these are the kinds of things that you grow up learning in that area. So it's just like I understand what they were facing, what they were dealing with, like those guys having to get on the boat and leaving her behind. And I'm just like, bro, if they were in like a dinghy,
Mm.
they're fucked because the waves up there and the oceans up there, they are not nice. They are not nice to anybody. Even on a good day, they're not nice to anybody.
Yeah. It's
Anyways, go ahead.
unfortunate.
Sorry.
No, I'm just thinking. Yeah, it's such a dumb move. But that's what they did. So, Ada, anyway, after all of this, she finally returned to Alaska after being gone for nearly 2 years. She was welcomed warmly by her friends and acquaintances back home and was able to get treatment for her son with the money that she had earned from the expedition and from the sale of some of the skins she had collected. But but they took advantage of her for
Mm,
that because she was supposed to get like, I mean, the actual value of the skins was much more than the money that they
she
offered.
actually got, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. So, unfortunately, as it happens with so many in history, Ada suffered many hardships throughout the rest of her life instead of
Mhm.
living comfortably like she deserved. Others profited off her story. So, like Stephenson published it in a book or whatever, and then he made a lot of money while she was left in poverty.
What the hell?
I mean, that's
Like
how it.
if you're, I mean, I understand the time and all that, but let's just like, it's so
But
frustrating hearing
it
about
is
it.
frustrating.
It's like if you're gonna take advantage of somebody, at least
Throw them a bone.
throw them a bone. Make sure that they're not like starving and dying in the middle of nowhere while you live the lap of luxury off of their gains.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time, it's not that she was totally, I guess like maybe not everywhere she was known, but she was in papers. Like her story
Right.
was in newspapers and stuff. But I guess, 15 minutes of fame, once that faded, then there wasn't really a lot of opportunities for her. And then she just kind of, had a miserable life.
Hey man, if I was Ada, I would have gone back out there and like continued hunting and
I
just
think she
like a boss.
did. Yeah, I think that's like she did make a living a little bit like off of hunting, but at the same time, it's kind of I don't think it's really like a woman's profession hunting.
No,
Um
not really. It's like yeah, I guess it kind of depends on like the tribe itself, but like generally the men are the ones who go out and hunt
yeah.
unless you come from a hunter family and you're like the last person in the family and then you're like the only female, then I guess it would be acceptable for you to be hunting, but even still.
Mm,
But it's the women's job to more clean the skins and take care of the camp and make sure everybody's eating and you're preparing the food and all of that.
you're right. So, yeah, I just don't know if like she'd be able, even if she has the skills, I don't know if she'd be able to use them because of like society and blah blah blah. It's too bad. It's too bad. So she died at the age of 85 in a nursing home in Palmer, Alaska, and was buried next to her son, Bennett. Because she ended up having another kid named Billy, but it didn't really mention what he was doing at that time. Her son, because of like complications from having tuberculosis, he died of a stroke when he was only 57.
Hey,
Yeah,
he made it to 57 though. That's impressive.
not bad. Yeah, and then that's
Alrighty.
it. That's it for Ada.
That was a very riveting tale. Like I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one, right?
It's a good one. I also just like the fact that it was like in Alaska, so I could like relate to it on a more personal level. I'm just like, yes,
Mm,
I understand.
yeah.
Alrighty, so on to the update then. You
On
may
to the
have guessed
update.
it, but due to the war and the ongoing pandemic, the Mongol Rally has once again been canceled this year. And
Yep.
we have officially put our hats in for the Mongol Rally 2023. Ugh.
I know. It's so disappointing. But it is what it is. A lot of things are up in the air at this time, and we may eventually end up doing other adventures in addition to or instead of the Mongol Rally. But nothing has been decided yet. We're kind of playing it by ear, as
Yep. Well, it also
much of
depends
everyone
on,
is.
like where we all are in the
Mm,
world in a year because stuff, yeah.
stuff happens.
Stuff happens, man. Plus yeah, we have things going on in our own lives, nothing negative. Just big changes that will affect our travel and adventure plans. For me, I'm currently in school getting my master's degree. I've officially enrolled, so yay. I've been enrolled for
Yay!
a year, so that's well, I've been enrolled since November of this last year.
Mm,
And I'm making good progress. Like I think I only have 6 or 7 practical classes left, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get through most of, if not all of them, before the end of my second term. So before November of this year, which means that by November I should be in my observation classes and my practical teaching classes, so that I can get my teaching license and hopefully get a job teaching somewhere in Illinois, preferably on a military base, so that I can then hopefully go overseas at some point. Yay.
yay! Good idea.
Those are my plans. We'll see how it works out. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, so what about you, Caitlin? What's going on?
Oh, I'm just, same old, same old. I'm still in Korea, but I'm planning on applying for a working holiday visa, and hopefully, I'm going to get to Australia before the end of this year sometime. And then, yeah, just kind of like work and live in Australia for a while and try that scene out. Yeah, I don't really have any solid plans with that. I'm going to try to get a job in hospitality. I'm looking at Cairns at the moment. Seems like a nice town, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll see.
Hell yeah. I mean, if you do get a job in Australia and you're there for more than a year, I may be able to save up enough to come visit you.
Yeah, come.
Hell yeah. Also, you could always just come back to the North America continent and we could all, me, you, Sam, and maybe Jess, all be in the same place and we could all do a big adventure together.
Oh, that would be so nice. I miss adventuring with you guys.
Yes, God. Me and so for those of you, for our listeners, I went on a very random work vacation last week. So basically, I got sent out to California to work for 2 weeks, and while I was there, it was also Memorial Day weekend, so I got a long holiday weekend, which I took advantage of to visit our third part of the Mongol Rally, third partner, Sam,
Mm.
and we spent the couple of days hanging out, and we spent the entire time basically reminiscing about South Korea and how we miss hanging out with everybody, and we went on a small hike and also spent the entire time reminiscing about how we miss everybody and hiking with everybody and how awesome the group was that we had in
Mm.
Korea.
Yeah, it was such a good time. I was talking to somebody about that like this week. Something about like hiking or whatever. Because I think maybe they were asking about my tattoo. Because for our listeners, I have like a tattoo of Soraksan, which is a very meaningful mountain for us, like for our group, because we spent a lot of time hiking there. Just it holds like a lot of really good memories. And then for me personally, it kind of like overall represents my time with you guys, like, my Sam and Mo, Jess, everybody in Korea. And they were probably honestly like the best times of my life.
Yeah, no, I mean we hike Sorasan like at least twice a year, if not
Yeah.
more frequently. At least
Yeah.
twice a year for
Spring and
the
summer,
entire
or
time we
sorry,
were there.
spring and fall. Yeah.
Yeah. God, such a good time. I miss
Such a
Sorasan.
good time. Such good times. All around, they were so good. So anyway, I was talking to somebody about that the other day, today, maybe.
They
I
were
think it
talking
was
about your
today.
tattoo.
I don't know. Like I'm just so I've been so busy at work too lately that I don't know, my mind is just a bowl of mush. But yeah, just kind of remembering all those good times and feeling very nostalgic. Mm,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I do plan on trying to make it out to visit you in Korea before you leave in October.
Hmm.
So that's my plan is I need to get dates. We need to decide dates that I will be coming out. And then I need to look at airplane tickets to see how expensive they are.
Hopefully by then they'll be cheaper because right now they're expensive AF.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm planning on probably if I have enough money and I can afford it, I will probably plan to go or buy tickets about July, August. That way it's a
Mm,
couple months out just to kind of help with the costs.
yeah.
So hopefully they'll drop. Fingers crossed. Probably not, but fingers crossed.
Well, my tutor was saying something like the part of the reason why the flight ticket prices are so expensive are because they just don't have a lot of planes scheduled right now, and
Well,
they do the plane scheduling on like three, like they have to like request a certain amount and submit that request every 3 months, and then it gets approved or it gets denied. So
mm,
it's just like there's a higher demand for travel than there was for like plane routes proposed.
available. Yeah.
Right. So then that's why it's but there's going to be like a news session in the fall where they're going to increase the number of flights. So it should be less expensive.
Right.
Plus it won't be summer, it's not peak time anymore, so there should be
Right.
less demand. Yeah. So should be cheaper from what I understand.
Yes. Well, I'm willing to play the wait game, but I don't want to. I want to buy
You
my
don't want to wait
tickets.
too long either, yeah.
Right. So I will probably be buying tickets no later than September 1st. But
Mhm.
anyways, plan is go out to Korea. When I show up, I will hopefully be in good shape because I've started running.
Oh,
I hate
good.
running, but I've started running because I'm sick and tired of feeling like I can't do anything physically fit anymore because I've lost all of my muscle tone.
Yeah, same.
Oh God. Anyways, but we're gonna hike Soraksan when I come to visit. Like it's a thing we're doing
Let's
because we
go.
got to do it at least one more time.
Gotta go. We're gonna do
Got to
Dinosaur Ridge though.
Okay.
We'll try. We'll get to the peak and we'll see how we feel.
We'll get to the second shelter and see how I feel,
There
and
you
what
go.
time we get there by. If we get there early enough and I'm okay, we'll just go
Okay, okay.
and we'll eat lunch. Like no stopping at the second shelter if we go because if we stop, I won't
If we
want to go.
stop, we're just gonna stop forever. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll get some arthritis pills before we go because my knees are bad.
No, get that and like knee braces for the
Mm,
hike as well because
yeah.
coming down is going to be hard no matter whether you did the valley or not.
Oh
Like,
my god, coming down Soroksan is always like literally a huge pain.
dude, the last time we came down, I freaking ripped my toenail off because I
Oh,
stubbed my toe
jeez.
inside my boot that it like ripped my toenail out of the nail bed.
Jeez.
It was awful. I thought I like broke my toe and I was bleeding inside my boot. And so I just like breezed past everybody who was chilling and like having their picnics. And they're like, Mo, where you been? I'm like, gotta go by. I think I broke
Got
my
an
toe.
emergency.
I ain't taking my shoe off until I get to the end. Like hustle all the way to the end. And then I get down and I get off the mountain and I take my shoe off and I'm totally fine. I'm like, son of a bitch, I could have stopped. I like was kicking myself for the rest of the trip because everybody else came down like 3 hours later and they're all sunbathed and they had been
Aw.
swimming and they'd all been having a good time drinking Martin's wine on the mountain.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting at the restaurant waiting for everybody to be like, I'm bored.
Oh, yeah.
Where be people?
But hey, listen, like, I mean, you had to take care of your foot.
I did. It was more important than I didn't want to get stuck with like, yeah, I'll take my shoe off and rest for a couple of minutes for like an hour and then not be able to get my boot back on or anything like that. So
Right. That's a problem.
got prioritize.
Right on.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I guess I think that's it for the updates.
Mhm.
Like always, thank you for joining us today and for your continued support.
Yes, and if you like this episode, minus all of the rambling commentary that we had, please like, comment, subscribe, or whatever is the usual on the platform for which you listen to this podcast.
And you can also support us by becoming a patron on Patreon. All proceeds will be donated to the Center for Reproductive Rights and Cool Earth. Link in the description.
You can also check out sources for this episode by checking out the accompanying blog post on our website, link also in the description.
Thanks again and see you next month.
Bye!
Goodbye.
That's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in.
And as always, please support this work by subscribing and donating to our cause at www.teamgetoveryit.com.
Donors get access to specific content like stickers, t-shirts, and postcards from our journey.
You can donate for as little as $5 and the benefits build from there.
Go to our website for more info, or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Team Get Ovary It.
Thanks for listening, and catch us next time on Get Ovary It.